Hello children, welcome to the video lectures of Social Science Standard 10th. This is the third lecture of chapter number 17 of your economics part. In the previous two video lectures, we had seen basically what is poverty. The name of the chapter itself was the economic problems, and in those economic problems, we were especially studying about poverty and unemployment. So we had studied what is poverty. We also saw what is BPL, that is below poverty line, and we also saw the features of people living below poverty line. Then we had seen how to measure poverty. Basically, poverty was measured on two things: the expenditure and the income of a family, and the types of the poverty, that is absolute poverty and relative poverty. We also saw certain data related to poverty in India. We also compared it with various decades of the data. And the last topic that we saw in the second lecture was rural poor and urban poor, which individuals come under rural poor and which individuals come under urban poor, that we saw. Now we are going to start further. So our first topic for today is reason of poverty. Reason of poverty. Now there are many reasons for the poverty, okay, but here we are going to see about the main reasons, and you will find that all of them are usually connected. All of them are usually interlinked with each other. Let's start. The origin of poverty is more deep rooted in villages. See, mainly it is found in villages or rural areas. Okay, you will find that poverty is mainly seen into rural areas. Villages are the areas which are affected more. Okay, they are affected more in comparison to cities as compared to urban areas. See, they have told that which places are more affected, then villages are more affected in comparison to urban areas. Following reasons are for it. Let us say decrease in income from agriculture sector. Okay, because of insufficient development in the field of agriculture and insufficient irrigation facilities. Now agriculture sector, we know that almost 60% of the population of India is dependent on agriculture, and when the income from this particular sector decreases, it creates a lot of impact on this particular portion of population and it creates poverty. Second reason is, now why there is problem or why the decrease in income comes, then it is due to the insufficient development. If you see, then the agriculture still that we are doing is age old. Okay, age old, and not according to the new techniques. We are not following the updates. Okay, no updates are being followed, then no new machines are not introduced. So these are some of the reasons due to which there is insufficient development into the field of agriculture. At the same time, insufficient irrigation facilities. Okay, the farmer can grow better crops if they get proper irrigation facilities, but there are certain areas in India where the irrigation facilities are not good, and due to this the income which is arising from agriculture sector decrease. So this is first reason. Second, lack of alternative employment. Now understand this word, alternative employment. What does alternative? Alternative means another. Okay, optional. Alternative is optional. Okay, so there is no optional employment. Now many a times it happens that during monsoon or during certain season, the agriculture sector is not working as it should be. So the people who are engaged with this agriculture sector don't have any other option of working. Okay, here when we talk about farming, here we have to consider also the laborers who are connected to it, right? The farmers, okay, and all the people who are connected to farming, right? Next is lack of knowledge regarding the employment. See, many times it happens that they don't have proper knowledge of employment, education, skill or training in rural areas. Many times this happens that they don't have proper knowledge of the schemes that government are introducing. Government have introduced various schemes for employment, for education and skill generation, but the farmers or the people in uh, rural areas don't have the idea related to it, and that's why they remain poor. Next is increase in debt. Debt means udhar. Okay, increase in debt as a result of excessive expenditure. Say excessive expenditure because of caste system and orthodoxy. This happens many a time that there is a lot of expenditure related to the traditions and customs that we follow. Many times it happens that the person who does this custom or who is forced to do this custom doesn't have money with him. So what does he do? He takes a debt. Debt means udar. He takes money, loan from someone at a very high interest rate, and he is unable to pay it because he don't have the fixed income for it. And due to this, what happens? He ultimately jumps into the poverty well. Thus, it may be said that it is due to increasing unproductive expenditure. Okay, so the expenditure done behind this traditions and customs and all the things is many a times unproductive. Why? Because it doesn't produce anything. It is called unproductive expenditure. Next is due to illiteracy. This is, I personally consider this as the main reason. Due to illiteracy, the poor becomes victim of exploitation and injustice as they are illiterate. So they don't know the details of anything, and that's why they are exploited more and injustice happens to them. Along with that, they are not able to get proper benefit of government schemes. See, this also happens. As I told you, the government have implemented a lot of schemes for the poor people, but as they are uneducated, right, as they are illiterate, as they don't have the knowledge regarding it, they don't get the benefit. And many a times when they go for getting the benefit, they are exploited by the agents or the middlemen uh, in the middle for getting it because of lack of information. So this is one of the other reasons. Next is due to ignoring necessities and economic welfare of the poorest section of the society during formation of economic policies. Now we know that economic policies, government is implementing 5-year plan after the independence, and most of the time it happened that the poorest section or the weakest section of the society was ignored for a very long time. Government for almost last 70 years saw in building up the nation. They build new factories, new sectors for industries and all other things, but the poorest section was almost uh, forgotten, and due to that, these are the economic policies which are happening it for more poverty. Next is production of cash crops. Okay, now cash crop, more dependency on cash crop. Now cash crop, from the name you know that the such type of crop which can generate more cash instead of the grain crops, okay, which are used for the daily life, was encouraged, while production of edible crops, see, instead of edible crop, cash crop was grown more, and due to it there was a burden on edible crop, and due to it the prices of this crop started rising up. Okay, the prices rose, and due to it the poor people could not get benefit of it. This triggered the scarcity. Due to it, the scarcity of food grain started, and pulses and price rise, because of which people could not get 2 meals a day. The other reason is because of execution of economic reforms. Say, okay, execution of economic reforms. Reform means changes. rural economy collapsed. See, collapsed is breakdown. Okay, rural economic collapse due to the reforms which were implemented by the government in past were such kind of reforms due to which the rural economy got almost broke down. Cottage and small scale industries broke down. See, small scale and cottage industry also broke down, and this was one of the reasons for it. Migration increase. Now people don't have the work, so what they will do? They will migrate. Migrate means to go to other place. Income in agriculture sector decrease, and all this resulted into decrease in the agriculture sector. Now here you can see this was the first point. Okay, so ultimately you can see it is a type of a circle that is connecting to each other. Okay, the next reason is poor people are becoming victims of malnutrition and disease. See, now this is one of the characteristics of poor. They are malnutrited and have a lot of disease. Expenditure on health increase. See, now when they are not earning much, but as they are malnutrited and ill, so they have to spend money on expenditure on health, and that also increase. Although income was static means same, and expenditure increase, and this led to increase in the poverty. Next is due to change in technology. Traditional businesses, cottage industry, etc. were deteriorated and unemployment had increased. Now this is one of the reasons due to change in technology. As technology changes, as machines are introduced into our life, so due to that traditional businesses like weaving, okay, and other, then at the same time cottage industries, okay, those industries or those business which were done at a very small scale, usually into villages, broke down, and this led to unemployment. When unemployment is there, poverty is automatically connected to it. The last is there was an increase in population growth. This is the biggest reason, and remember it, population growth is the biggest reason for the poverty. Population growth, death rate decreased, okay, average lifespan increased, supply of labor increased in comparison to demand. Remember the law of demand and supply. Demand low, supply high, price low. Okay, so here the labor were more as population was more in compared to the demand, and that's why the laborers were getting less prices, so unemployment increased. On the other side, the production of things on the basic requirement decreased. See, okay, production decreased. The price rise was there. Okay, downfall in purchasing power was experienced. Purchasing power means spending tendency. Spending power or spending tendency was decreased. Living standard deteriorated. Okay, as they don't have the money, though they will not spend money on other things, and due to that, the living standard deteriorated. Deteriorated means decreased or became bad. Thus, poverty increased. So these are all the reasons of poverty. This can also be asked into a short note. So uh, remember it and understand it in the proper way. Okay, so these are the all reasons for poverty that you need to remember.